Yeah, we're rolling. So today it's another fragrance review, an EDT, David Beckham Instinct. So the other day I did a police one, which wasn't obviously on the David Beckham line, but he was modelling and sponsored by police at the time. Was doing all the adverts and the shades and so on. That was okay, just above average in terms of an EDT. This is above average as well, slightly better because the actual smell and the perception of this for an EDT, the radiance is very good, the performance not so much, atypical of a lot of EDTs, but it smells, I don't want to say boozy and expensive, but similar to the Bentley Intense for the price, which we're going to go over in a minute. I think that the quality is very good, and in my opinion, and maybe some others who have actually smelt this, I would draw comparisons to maybe some of the original Dolce & Gabbanas, which is saying a lot because they tend to be harder to track down nowadays. I'm talking about the creme de la creme, the originals, even the EDTs that felt like they last all day. They're monstrous, projection, everything. And this reminds me of them because back in the day I used to like kind of nick them off my dad. I put them on just to try them because again I've always had a kind of passion for fragrances, and this is a good one. So David Beckham Instinct, we're gonna just go over the notes and then we're gonna do the spray on the skin, go through how I perceive it, and then we'll give an overall mark at the end, the usual format. So the price for this is pretty reasonable, £10 to £20, from anywhere from a 75 to 125ml. I believe this is a 50 or a 75ml. Let me see, EDT. Yeah, 75ml, this one. So ranging from £10 to £20. Now, I used to buy this usually for like barely a tenner. I think this one might have been about £12 because it come in a gift set. And one thing I can say about, and again we'll go over another David Beckham fragrance after this one, they're good value for money, because even though I'm not going to claim that they're as powerful as an EDP or as long lasting as some of the more recent EDTs I've done, but this was one that I always felt safe with, and it was one that I've bought off and on over the years. They've never really changed the formula. Within a few hours it kind of fades to a skin scent, but overall I would recommend this, especially if you can get it for £10 or close to that, from, as I say, anywhere from a 75 to 125ml. So we'll go over the notes. A symphony starting with a fresh burst of bergamot, grapefruit and mandarin leaf. The heart notes introduce a spicy blend of star anise, cardamom and pimento note, leaving the base of vetiver, patchouli and white amber. So again, a little, a lot of these fragrance lines will have very similar portfolio in terms of the breakdown of notes and ingredients, but then there's subtle changes, and again some people might really hate, I don't know, patchouli or iris or whatever, or certain ambers or whatever. Again, everybody's taste and smell and perception of these are different. So a lot of the time, even when you see these reviews online and they can break it down like I try to, every little nuance imaginable with fragrance, the proof is always in you smelling it on your own skin, or first of all maybe even on someone else if they wear it, and then on a card in a shop, and then on your own skin if you like it. Because again, the difference between a smell on yourself, on someone else, on a card, in the air, on clothes, is always a bit different. So I'll reiterate and go over this many times in reviews, because again, I think it's important, and it's just something that you should know going into purchasing one of these, or off of my recommendations. And likewise, I find some people, they might be missing that knowledge. Like even years ago, I just would buy a fragrance based off of that initial burst or that power, and not necessarily register dry down effects and performance and longevity. I would just buy the brand or buy what looks cool, you know, but then that's marketing, and I think, you know, when we're younger we all kind of fall for that trap maybe. So without further ado, I'm gonna apply it to the skin. Not actually worn this for a while, but it's very pleasant. It's very strong as well. Which they tend to be. They EDT's, the radiance is very yeah, the I went in maybe a bit too early then, but it's just nice. It's a I'm trying to talk and trying to let it settle a bit, and then I'm going to go back in there and go over the notes further. But from my recollection of it, it's a very pleasant, wearable day, night, date, any kind of environment, because again, in my opinion, as a man, it's very masculine, it's strong, it projects pretty well. On my skin at least, it radiates off. And for an EDT, and as I say, for £10, £10 to £15 for a 75 to 125 ml, I think it's good, really good value. I think it actually pays to get the bigger bottles, but again, I digress. It's more of like you would have to try it out yourself, and then see how you get on before committing to a larger bottle. But let's go in for a closer inspection once I can get in there, because as I said, for an EDT, it's very powerful. It reminds me of the original Dolce & Gabbana's, the bit like the design of this really. It come with the metal cap, and I think it was like a square glass bottle, and the box was that it was housed in was blue, from my recollection anyway. This was many years ago. So let's go over the notes and then an overall review. Yeah, of it's pretty, you know, it like light switch flips, the nostalgia, the all right, Una. There's Eunice just wailing in the darkness outside the room. Probably wants to be fed again. Calm down, Una. Okay, so yeah, very sweet but masculine and strong. So it's a nice contrast there. I kind of get the image of like dressing up and going out, date, restaurant setting, maybe even a club, but there's like a prominence. I think that's a good word. Prominence about it, and a kind of a classiness. Bit like the old Dolce & Gabbana's, in my opinion. Very masculine, strong. You get that image of going out, dressing up, maybe in a suit or a nice shirt and trousers, shoes, nice jacket, hair done. You know, I just get that image with this. Smelling this, it brings back memories, and that's the environment that I feel that it would be best suited. Even though it's cheap, and I reiterate that, and again, I've mentioned this in other videos, don't just judge a fragrance or whatever by, oh, it's cheap, no, I wouldn't buy that, blah 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 blah. I'll just whack on a £500 one just because it's £500, even though I don't like it. And again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm just trying to defend the quality of this fragrance. So in terms of the smell, the radiance, projection on me, very good. The reason it goes down, and I'm not going to give it a 7.5 or an 8, is that the longevity is where it kind of falls down. So from memory, the best you're going to get, and again, I'm not talking about hammering it on either, because this is very strong to begin with. I never wanted to hammer this on, because for that first hour or two, it projects, it radiates off, it's pretty good. But then after that, it starts to fade down, like most of them do. But I mean, this one quite quickly, which tells you about why it's cheap. Yeah, so it's sort of sad in a way, because again, if it had that extra hour or two, so say 4 hours, 5 hours, i.e. like most EDTs, with this radiance, projection and quality of the smell, and how it's akin or similar to a Dolce & Gabbana, I would really recommend it and probably give it like an 8 out of 10. But because of the fact of the longevity, I'm going to take it down a mark. So it's not going to get an 8, it's going to get a 7, and that's kind of being generous. But the reason why it is a 7 is because of the price, the quality of the smell. It's, in my opinion, it's akin to something maybe a lot more expensive. It's a bit boozy, that kind of the prominence of being out, dressed up, date night, and so on, nice meal, that sort of thing. It's sweet, it's masculine, it's strong. And then again, there's elements of it that's kind of, even though it's not a complex profile, yeah, there's not really anything else I can say to big it up anymore. I've pretty much mentioned everything. So a 7 out of 10, just to show the bottle again. So this is David Beckham Instinct. And then we're going to move on to another David Beckham one in the line, whilst I've dug them out. So yeah, that'll be the follow-up video.